booklet on, used to have it, I may have given it away, but it's a history on, you ought to read it sometime about the birth of this nation. It costs people for us to enjoy the freedom we've got here. And I've been to a few other countries in this world, and you don't have what you got here. I like what that one Muslim woman said well, she's an ex-Muslim. She's a Christian follower now, but she's trying to tell other people what it's all about. Said next time one of these news broadcasters tell me, well, America never was great. Said, I'd like to tell them I lived in a bomb shelter for years and hid from my life and finally got rescued from it, and tell them, oh, yes, it is a good country too. A lot better than what we had over there. And folks, I have seen this, and I believe this. We have to take in consideration God is sovereign. I agree with Brother Tom on that 100%. And He'll do what He wants. But He involves us in what He's doing. Yes. Yes. And you know something? When I get a burden that I can't escape, I tend to believe He's dealing with me. And I tried to tell folks, this right here was my main message for weeks, months even. I repeated it often. Folks, I know Jesus is coming. But the last marching orders that He left us was to go and spread this gospel and let it spread into all the world. Which would you rather be doing if Jesus were to show up? Would you rather be sitting here and He'd come back and say, what are y'all doing? Well, it's evil outside and you told us it's going to get bad, so we're just sitting here not doing a blame thing. We're just waiting on you. Aren't you glad we're faithful? We're waiting on you. Or do you think when He come back and you're trying to resist evil, you're trying to hold it at bay, you're trying to pray against things, maintain what the freedoms and all in order? We're not just wanting to be free so we can have a nice life, but so the gospel can go forth from this place, so that we can do the work of God that we've been commissioned to do. That commission's still in effect. Wonder what happened if He come up and said, excuse me, I'm Jesus, and I just come back. Just what do you all think you're trying to prove? You should be sitting up here in a cave hiding, trying to keep your oil lamp lit and keep oil in your vessel and save yourself. And do you know what, Nate's with the rest of them? What are you out here trying to accomplish by carrying on like I ain't never coming? You think that? I don't think so. And I told people what I've told you here. I can tell you several events that happened in my life from a young boy, 12 or 13 years old on up, where we thought Jesus was coming immediately. And I never want to dampen anyone's spirit about that and tell them, oh, He ain't ever coming. Take a nap. It's not for that purpose. But I've told people this. You know, it is evil. Things are going on in the Middle East. They've been going on for 50 years now, 60 or whatever it's been. And I said, you know what? We're right on the brink where it looks like the Lord's coming, and we might stay right on the brink of that for a few more years down the road. I don't know that. And people, well, what are you? In other words, you're saying, I said just what I said. It was English. You could understand if you listened to me. What I'm saying is go home and unpack. We got work to do. And if you're engaged in the work and you're doing what you ought to be doing, then I'm going to tell you something. Your suitcase will be all packed up and ready to go when it's time. So I tried to tell the people this. Do you know why this nation is in the mess it's in? From my standpoint of view, this is Bruce 2:38, okay? Bruce 3:16. The reason the country is in the mess it's in is when school was prayer was took out of school. I was just a young boy. Our first days in school and all, we stood up and said the Pledge of Allegiance, said our Father who art in heaven. I learned the Lord's Prayer in school, not at church. Teachers had Bibles sitting on, and you know what? You'd better not say a negative word about God or His Word. They'd take a limb to you and wear your backside out. Be talking that mess in here. Were all of them godly? No, but there was a reverence and respect for that. And when that was thrown out by one woman, pulpits across the land were silent. Now they're wanting to have transgenders and love homosexuals, and the very church I was raised in is out there waving flags around and supporting them in it. What am I saying? I'm saying it's the church's fault.
Yeah.
It's the church's fault this country went to hell in a handbasket like it has.
Absolutely.
Pulpits are silent. Preachers are afraid to lose their salaries. I ain't got one to lose.
That's right.
Why are you so mad for it, Brother Bruce? I don't know. I'm just trying to I borrowed that from somebody else, as a matter of fact. With the trouble, what was it? Was it in Ezekiel? He said, God said, I ain't going to turn to it, but he said, if I pass judgment on a nation, I'm going to destroy it. It's gotten so wicked. But he said, if my people will raise up and stand in the gap and they'll turn, he said, I'll repent of the evil I was going to do to it. The reason evil prevails is because the church is silent by and large. We don't realize that the power of prayer, I'm not talking about us coming in and writing a nice little prayer out. You know something about prayer? Prayer originates with Almighty God. It originates with Him. It starts on the fires of intercession that burns on the altars in heaven, and it comes down there and it falls into a heart, and it burns that heart and burns it up, and it finds itself praying for the impossible. Oh God, is there some way? Is there some way you can stay back and hold back this? And while we're here doing the gospel work, we can do it with freedom. Look, people said, well, it's all going to take over. America ain't in Bible prayer. I've heard every kind of a thing, and I've heard it teach it was Babylon of Revelation and all of that stuff. Pick and choose what you want, what you believe it is. But folks, I've got to tell you this. I don't know how far the end that we are. And we're not relieved from standing up for Jesus, combating that which is evil. We're not relieved from that. And preaching and spreading the gospel. And so on the radio, I tried to tell the church there is an awesome weapon that we have at our disposal. An awesome weapon. It's called the weapon of prayer. And you know something? I honestly believe if church houses were to fill across the land and people start crying out, say, you don't have to get out on the street and wave these bunch of silly, stupid signs. If you feel like doing that, do it. But I ain't never seen it change anything. The reason I'm telling you this, folks, hear me. You can verify this. I knew this years ago. There was a town, what time is it? I ain't going to quit till I'm done. There was a town in Guatemala, and I can't pronounce, Alamonga or something like that. I can't remember what it was. That was the most horrible place you'd ever want to be in. The town didn't have much in the way of churches, but it had beer joints all over the place. Poverty abounded everywhere. Filth and dirt. Unemployment. Men laying drunk in the streets. When I was down in Guatemala, I saw them. I walked to my class a lot of times, and men just laying there on a stone sidewalk drunk. And they told me, don't never touch one, ever. See them guys, them guards, them walking around with them rifles, they'll claim you've done something to them, and you're going up to the calico. So I'd always walk out around them. Hated to. I wanted to stop down and pray for the man. They don't do that. Well, this town was like that. They said that they had 3 jails, and they were so full of people, that they would have to bring buses in and cart some out and take them to another city far away to contain the people in jails. Police were all the time going to home where some drunk guy was smacking the snot out of his wife and beating and slapping her. They wouldn't need to send the police there, send somebody with a good stick as far as I'm concerned. It was a horrible place. And the pastor, one of the ministers said, we'd try to have revival. They'd throw rocks through the windows of where we was having, said, break up our meetings. And he said, I got to thinking there's something wrong with this. He honestly rose up, and instead of saying, well, it's supposed to be like this, we just got to accept it, buy it, and live with it and go on. And just let the devil have it. It's going to be evil in the last days, so let the devil have this place. Let him have it. Ain't no need of fighting for it. Ain't no need of praying for it. It's past redemption. Let it go. This man got on his face, and he had a little gathering of people, and they started fasting 3 days a week in that church. 3 days a week. Lay everything else aside. Why? Because our community is perishing. It is perishing. If you ever want to look into this up, you can go to Centennial something. I'd have to look it up on but the stories are on there. All of a sudden, there was some of those people, and witchcraft abounded. When I was down there, I saw so much of that junk. They hoodooed and carried on and everything. And people into all of that, and their minds messed up. Some of them started coming in them meetings, heads hung down reverend, and the saints had prayed to a place where they had faith. There ain't no need of turning them over to a psychologist. Ain't no need of taking them down and letting them, giving them a prescription full of, what is that stuff they give them kids, Rimadim or whatever. I don't remember the name of that stuff. I don't remember it. But anyway, they began casting out devils, which is what 99% of these people out here need, is the devil cast out of them. And you know what? All of a sudden, more people began coming. They more began to praying. And it wasn't long till the bars shut down, every one of them. Folks, this was in this day and time when we're claiming it's all over, forget about it. The devil's saying, you know, I think it is. You just lay down and forget it. The jails became empty, and I saw an interview with the police. They said, do you have to put people in jail anymore? He said, no. He said, those bars have now turned into churches, and they're all full of people. All of a sudden, the valley and the soil there became, what do you call that, fertile? They showed carrots as long as my arm from here down, and that big around that they were growing. They became a tremendous crop. Everybody became employed, and they're hauling 40 trucks a day out of that place to other places. They're employed. The kids got clothes to wear. They live in nicer homes. That's what happens when people turns to God. But we've lost sight of even the possibility of that. And I harped on that on the radio to hear not a word. I took you the long way around. My soul is exceedingly sorrowful. It's heavy because it just doesn't have to be that way. It just doesn't. Now, he said, tarry here and watch with me. Do you know what watch means? I looked it up. It meant be not asleep. It meant with your eyes observing. You're not drawn off to something else. If you're not careful, the devil will draw you off with spiritual things, making it something of God. Now, I'm not telling you he'll lead you into truth. No, he'll disguise it and make it look like something great and spiritual and draw you off into anything to get your attention away from where it ought to be. Do you hear me? Okay. He went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "O my Father." Now, this is what takes place in Gethsemane. If it's possible, let this cup pass. Take this burden off of me. It's killing me. My family don't understand what's got into me. My wife don't understand what's obsessed me. My kids look at me and wag their head. Is this something Dad's going through? People at church look at me and think Brother Bruce he needs to just settle down and all like that. And you say, Lord, let this cup pass from me. It's not popular. Nobody wants to hear it. I put it on YouTube, and you don't have but 30 or 40 people or 100 people listening. I got YouTube messages on there, and one of them's got nearly 10,000 looks. Others down to 30 and 40. And some of these we go here have got 50, 60. Some of them got 17, 18. It's not that I feel like I can preach good, but if I got something to say that's from God, then everybody needs to hear it. If I ain't saying something from God, talk to Brother Tom and tell him to never let me come over here again and waste your all's time. Who said, yeah? I'll pretend I don't know who that's from. He said, if there's any way possible, I'm under this burden. It's not that I'm depressed. It's that the hand of God is upon me heavy because He has called me to a task. He has called me to something to do for Him, and it's not pleasant. It's not something that I look forward to, Jesus said. And then He comes to Peter and them, and it says He finds them asleep. What a sad way to find him. He's right in the middle of this tremendous cry. He's at Gethsemane. He's being crushed. He's being pressured. He is having a night of agonizing prayer with the Father and with himself. Oh, I don't want to do what's ahead of me. It's not going to be fun. It's not going to be something that I can say, oh boy, and it's not going to make me popular. It's going to